Medieval hearths stood proudly in the center of the main room, and boy, did they know what they were doing with this setup. Here's what made these hearths absolute genius. They worked with the entire house to create a natural heating system. The stones around and under the hearth would soak up heat during the day like a giant hot water bottle. Then, just like that friend who never knows when to leave a party, these stones would keep radiating warmth long after the fire died down. Some medieval buildings even had stones that stayed warm for up to 12 hours after the fire went out. The smoke was actually part of their master plan, too. Instead of rushing up a chimney, which many houses didn't even have, it would slowly find its way out through gaps in the roof. Now, before you wrinkle your nose, this smoke acted like a natural pest control system, keeping bugs out of the timbers and helping preserve food hanging from the rafters. Talk about killing two birds with one stone. Though I guess nowadays we'd say feeding two birds with one scone to be more politically correct. Recent studies of surviving medieval houses showed these central hearths could heat spaces up to 600 square feet effectively. That's about the size of a modern apartment. And get this, the stone floors around these hearths have been found with scorch marks from being constantly heated to temperatures over 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Makes my attempts at heating up leftover pizza look pretty amateur in comparison. But what about those times when even the mighty hearth wasn't enough? Well, that's where the medieval folks got really creative with their community solutions. Speaking of which, wait until you hear about their ingenious communal fires. Because while we might complain about our neighbors today, medieval folks actually needed their neighbors, especially during winter. The whole "it takes a village" thing wasn't just a saying back then, it was their heating strategy. Every village had these amazing communal fire spots where people would gather to stay warm. And honestly, they sound way better than my neighborhood's HOA meetings. These communal fires were usually set up in the village